Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Mark Fishkin, the founder and director of the California Film Institute and the Mill Valley Film Festival. And it's my pleasure, my great pleasure, to welcome you to the 46th Mill Valley Film Festival, Day 6. We are so honored to be showing Saltburn and having Emerald Fennell here, to be equally honored in receiving the Mind the Gap Award in this special spotlight program. None of this would be possible without the support of many, many people. And I'd like to single out the sponsor of this evening's show, Jennifer McCready. Jennifer, could you please stand? Jennifer is not only the sponsor of this program, she is a member of our board of directors, two-time board president. She started off as a volunteer and a friend. There was talk about her working here at one point, became a member of the board, and as I said, ultimately rose to the chair. And she's been integral to the success of it. Why do I mention all this? Not only because it's important, because who Jennifer is, but also because we developed a relationship. And I really look at our work as being a relationship with filmmakers, with our staff, and you, the audience, who I like to refer to as our community. And that relationship is really important to us. There's a give and take with it. We need to understand your likes and dislikes and what's important to you and your family. And I think our staff does that really well. We have an amazing staff. And why else did I do that? And that's related to this QR code up there, because this has been a very challenging year, 3 years, for the entire world. And we, like many nonprofits, especially those in the arts and those that are public-facing and dealing with venues and performances, have been affected perhaps more than others. So I thank you for your membership. I thank you for your donations, and now and in the future. And I'm really happy that you all here tonight to see Saltburn. Emerald has won many awards, not only for directing, but of course acting and writing, as we well know, the highest awards. And I mention this also because this is commonly called a triple threat. I don't like that term. I think it's a triple blessing. So with my job now is to move this program forward. And before we bring Emerald up, I'd like to bring up Zoe Elton and Osinachi Ibi.
Thanks, Mark. Hello, everybody. It's great to see you here tonight. I tell you, if we had seatbelts in the theater, I would tell you to buckle them up. Because the film you're going to see is wickedly funny. And as Mark mentioned, Emerald Fennell is going to be the recipient of the Mind the Gap Award. As many of you know, we started Mind the Gap in the 15s. After we realized that the numbers of women directors in Hollywood had not been changing for literally decades. It was at about 7%. It's not a lot better now, but it's getting there. But we decided to do whatever little thing we can do. And we've gone through the pandemic, and we've definitely sort of started restating Mind the Gap, our equity initiative, again this year. You want to tell us a little bit about what we did this year, Osinachi, or what we're doing?
Yes, so this year we brought back the Mind the Gap Summit. It's the first summit that we've had since 2019. And the focus was on cinema's next act, art and business, which is very appropriate given where we're at in the film industry right now. And so it was it was Mind the Gap Day, and the summit was within the day. And the day had a lot of panels focused on animation, focused on the art and craft of directing, and on creative storytelling. We had a lovely luncheon with all of the participants. We also had a number of screenings later that day. And then we had a really wonderful brunch and mentorship, which is something that we started last year, where we have emerging female, non-binary, trans, gender non-conforming filmmakers meet with experienced filmmakers and just get an opportunity to connect and get access to people that they may not otherwise have access to. And then one of my favorite things that we did is we gave out the Creation Prize, or we're giving out the Creation Prize in a couple of nights. A jury of industry professionals and staff members came together to award a $10,000 unrestricted cash grant to a first or second time Mind the Gap filmmaker who has their first or second feature in the festival. And we gave it to... We gave the award to Laila Avilés for her extraordinary work in Totem.
And with filmmakers who've been around a little longer or who are doing incredible work, we also created the Mind the Gap Award, which really honors and recognizes people who are doing the work in an inspiring way, are making a commitment to women particularly, in the kind of stories that they're telling, by being directors, by hiring women on their crews, and producing work. And we've had some amazing people. So they end up being such role models for all of us, and we're thrilled that Emerald Fennell is our recipient tonight. And I'd like to welcome to the stage Isabel Duffy-Pinner, who is going to make the award dedication.
I thought there was a table.
Oh, look,
Here it
look.
comes. Oh,
There you
no.
go. Oh, right, that works.
Oh, I just need a piano or a clarinet or something. I'm going to close. Look, we can see we've rehearsed this.
God.
I've been here for days practicing. No, watch.
We're having a very British evening tonight.
And now, Emerald, I will sing. No. I'm not going to sing anything, ever. Thank you for having me here. This is such a treat and an honor and a privilege. I'm a little bit overwhelmed, actually. So Emerald Fennell is our Mind the Gap Filmmaker of the Year. And as Mark noted, she is a supremely talented actor. You'll remember her from things such as playing Camilla Parker Bowles in The Crown. And an award-winning writer. She was in Call the Midwife. Woo! Who knew? This is great. It's just going to get better. She's an accomplished writer with an unerring and exquisite eye for detail. She's published 2 books, and she was the showrunner for the hit show Killing Eve. So, you know, that's just the beginning. But as Mark said, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And we're here to celebrate Emerald, the filmmaker. So her genre-bending revenge thriller, Promising Young Woman, took the world by storm. Won her an Academy Award, a couple of BAFTAs, some other big prizes, not too shabby for a first film. If you're going to, start with a bang. And we, I think, are pretty confident that Saltburn is going to follow in those footsteps and really build on her extraordinary career as a writer and director. Saltburn is like A Promising Young Woman. It's visually spectacular. It's emotionally taut. As Zoe said, put your seatbelts on. And I think it really gives us a chance to see Emerald's, all her filmmaking skills kind of come together and dazzle us in their finest. She's a true collaborator and and her characters just, she brings them to just wait. Wait until you meet Oliver, Felix, and the rest of the Catton family, and you will come and find me afterwards, and you'll know what I was talking about. She is daring and courageous. She is unafraid to take us to the very edges of our comfort zones and to look, not without humor, at who we are in relation to power, to privilege, to class, and to each other. So I can't wait to see what she does next, but I'm actually going to stay and watch this film for the third time because I love it so much. And it is my huge and tremendous honor and I invite you to welcome and congratulate Emerald Fennell on the Mind the Gap Award.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. Thank you. Look. Oh, thank you. And the plinth. So lucky that there was a plinth handily here already. And this, exactly. Oh, guys, honestly, this is just, thank you so much. And it's such an honor to be here and to receive this amazing, amazing award. We were very, very proud in Saltburn that our crew was actually 53% women, which was the first movie of its budget or above, I think, to have that that distinction in England, at least. So, yeah, it's just wonderful to be here. I'm very, very, very grateful. I'm also a bit sheepish because I know what you guys are about to watch. So, I was asked to find something small to read. It's very difficult, actually. Something that kind of, I don't know, made me feel maybe like I felt when I made this film, when we all made this film. So it's by the great Hilary Mantel. It is no use to justify yourself. It is no good to explain. It is weak to be anecdotal. It is wise to conceal the past, even if there is nothing to conceal. A man's power is in the half-light, in the half-seen movements of his hands and the unguessed-at expression of his face. It is the absence of facts that frightens people, the gap you open into which they pour their fears, fantasies, and desires. Hope you enjoy the movie.
Murder on the dance floor, indeed. Please welcome Emerald Fennell.
Hi.
You have come a really, really long way since Call the Midwife.
Yeah. Being at the sharp end, I think. That's what that's called.
Oh. Where to begin? Okay, how about this? So, one of the things that I'm seeing this year in the context of this festival is that there are a lot of actors turned directors. We're opening with a film by an actor turned director. We're closing with a film by an actor turned director. And here we are in the middle of the festival with you. As somebody with a significant acting career, you've been in the privileged position of being able to observe a lot of directors directing in ways that most human beings don't get to do. So as you've moved into this project specifically, what are the things that you observed or learned from directors that you decided to embrace or to not embrace?
Well, I think I mean, I think I didn't really... being an actor is the most visible. I mean, obviously it sounds so sort of silly to say it, but I knew I wanted to make movies my whole life. But I guess I didn't really understand the workings, the machine behind it for a long time. And so the glorious thing about being on a show like Call the Midwife is, you know, you're lucky and privileged to work with people that you trust, who and you're used to working really, really long hours, huge volume of pages, often last minute, such as the kind of TV world. But also what was really important is we had the same crew, the same cast, but we had a different director and DP every 2 episodes. And so doing that for 4 years, you get quite a good idea of, you know, what works, what doesn't, what's slow, what's quicker, how to, you know, in the last 10 minutes, shoot a scene in one so that you can, you know, make your day. And I think as an actor, if you're interested in movie making, or, you know, the making of the technical side of things, I suppose, then there's no better position than, because you're sitting there, as long as you don't go back to your trailer and, you know, text inappropriate people on your phone, then you can just sit. You've got a front row seat, really, to the way it works.
So, with this film, how did you what kind of atmosphere did you want to create on set? Because people are really bearing their souls, as well as everything else. So there's a lot of trust you have to build up. How did you work with that?
Well, I think trust is just the most important thing for me in any creative endeavor. I think it's staggering that there's such resistance to intimacy coordinators when they are the most important people that you could have on a film like this. Because if you're trying to make something that you feel gets inside something complicated and difficult and embarrassing, and, you know, all the things that being like completely like sick with desire is, you know, to get to that place, you all really need to trust each other. But I've always felt that the first thing I do when I kind of meet people to make a movie with them in whatever department, and most particularly the actors, I just say, no, we have no nice trailers. Everyone has the same trailer. Everyone eats together. There's a green room. Nobody goes back to base to change or to sit in their, you know, to sit in their trailer to relax. It's just like we're all in it together. Everyone's as important as each other. And so people know kind of early on that we just hanging out makes it sound more fun than it is. Probably really fun for everyone else. I'm obviously there like a maniac. But you know, it's important to me that it's a shared endeavor. And if you're asking people to do things that, are transgressive, I suppose, and exposing, it has to be asking. It can't be making. It can't be, you know, there's the way that the question's framed a lot, I think, particularly with some of like Barry's scenes in this, is how did you get him to? You know, and I would never make anyone do anything that they didn't want to, that they weren't comfortable with. I think that would be monstrous. And also you wouldn't be making something interesting. The reason that it's so fun working with these people and it's so exciting working with someone like Barry is often I barely even have to ask. You know, sometimes I could just give him a look and he'll just be like, okay. And that's what is so exciting about finding those collaborators who just, you're pushing each other all the time to make something kind of that feels, you know, real and difficult, and who understand that actually to kind of like cut away, you know, isn't going to work for something like this.
Did you have, I mean, that last scene is just astonishing. I mean, really. Did you shoot that towards the end of your shoot? Or, I mean, had you built, the connection with him during the time that you were working together, and then shoot that in the latter part of the shooting?
Well, it was originally going to be a walk through the house.
Oh my gosh.
And then, so it was going to be the same walk, so it was going to be the inverse of Felix's tour. But him kind of naked, sort of owning the house. And then, we'd been working together for a few weeks, and I was just like, a walk's just not, it needs to feel triumphant, it needs to feel post-coital, it needs to feel kind of delicious and, exhilarating. And a walk's just not going to do that, really. But what would do it is a dance to Sophie Ellis-Bextor's Murder on the Dance Floor.
Was it always going to be a naked walk, or was it going to
Yes, it was always naked. So that was already in there. But of course, obviously if you're dancing,
It's different.
it's a different kettle of fish. But I just, as with all things, with Barry, I just said it to him, and he was like, yeah. And we got Polly Bennett, the most incredible choreographer. She came and choreographed it so that because it was a difficult shot, just apart from performance-wise, just in terms of an emotionally, when you do something like this, it has to feel organic. You can't, it had to feel like a dance, somewhere between real and not real, fantasy sequence and a real thing. So it had to be choreographed enough that we could do the kind of camera moves and that it would feel kind of precise, but not so choreographed that it would seem kind of joyless and arch. But again, 11 times. He thought we got it in 7, but we didn't. I think we got it, he said, Emerald. No. Do it. I'm afraid you have to do it 4 more times.
Did you always have Murder on the Dance Floor as a soundtrack to that, and did you use that when you were shooting it?
Yeah, so it was quite complicated because we had to light everything and rig all the sound so that it played in every room as we arrived in each room, just for the timing of it. So it was sort of technically quite tricky, but it was also wonderful because the worst thing would have been for poor Barry to have had an earpiece and for him to have been dancing in kind of grave silence. Sort of on his own, although I suppose it would have been a different ending to the film. But it was amazing.
So many of the characters in the film are bizarrely familiar for me. I mean, partly because I'm English, but are they based on people that you know? Are they composites? Are they just inspired by, or none of the above?
I mean, I think every character is kind of based on,
Yeah.
the thing is they're very specific, the Cattons, I think, and Oliver. But then at the same time, it's been so wonderful, the number of people who've been like, I see you met my mom. or oh my God, I slept with Felix in 2007 and I never got over it. Or, they're people we all recognize. And I think also probably because we recognize ourselves a little bit in them, because they're all sort of, fallible and, a mixture of hypocrisy, but also kind of, I don't know, I like them all. I like everyone in this film. I really like Oliver. I think he's absolutely
Did you kind of
relatable.
Did you fall in love with them as you were writing them, or more as you were directing them?
Oh, I think that I don't meet them like that. They just exist to me. So I guess it would be like loving. I love them all, always, but that's from the very beginning, I think. But obviously when you get Rosamund or Richard, or you get Alison, with the Spider-Man speech, it's a completely different experience. It's just magic.
I have to say, I think one of my favorite lines ever is she'll do anything for attention. So,
But you get it, right?
oh, yeah.
We've all
absolutely.
had friends like that.
Yeah. Did you have any compunction about killing them off? Your characters? No. Okay, no, okay, just checking.
I'm suddenly just thinking, like, I don't understand the question. I think they went very gently, actually,
Well,
given
they
the
did.
circumstances.
Yeah. I'd love to know a little bit about the way that you wrote this script, because it's just, I mean, it's like the ultimate grift when you get it, and it's just such an amazing journey. So can you take us back to you and your laptop, or however you write, and how did you develop the screenplay? How do you plot it? I mean, do you use Post-its? How do you figure it all out?
Well, I think I have lots of. I don't think split personalities is the right thing, but it's not far off.
Yeah.
But it's more like alternate realities. I guess I wonder if lots of you have this too. You know, God, everyone's laughing. I wasn't joking. It's like desperately hoping for some recognition. Oh. Thank you. Thank you, lone person. I mean, I think we all have that sensation of like looking out of a window, daydreaming about something. And I think my life has been less so now I have children, but there's a space in my life which is entirely in other worlds, in the world of my imagination. And it always has been. I've never realized it was so weird really until quite recently when I've been talking about it, because it's maybe a different way to work. But for me, you know, Saltburn was something that I've been probably thinking about, or a place or stories I've been thinking about for maybe 8 years. But I've just been going, I just go there. I've been going there for 8 years, being in those rooms, being around that pool, being, you know, in the dorm rooms, and bit by bit, layer by layer, character by character, it becomes a, you know, it solidifies, and then it's at the very, very end I write it down. Once everything's sort of perfect in my head, I write it down. But down to the details, you know. This would have a, you know, a ring mark on it.
Right.
And maybe like a bit of chewing gum wrapper or so. You know, it's like the kind of like details that are important to me when writing. So once that's done, it goes. But it started with, I wasn't in love with him. You know, that was the first thing that came into my head. It was somebody saying, I wasn't in love with him, and then licking the bottom of a bathtub. And I just thought, I don't know, mate. Doesn't seem true.
Are you having fun with this?
With this movie?
Work? Yeah.
Of course.
No, I didn't doubt it. I just
No,
but
yeah, go on.
Yeah, no. I mean, it just literally like knocked my socks off. You know? So it's just.
Well, it's about pleasure.
Yeah. Okay. Talk more about that.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's about what you do when you've just gone mad with wanting. And I think we're all in that state now after COVID, with the internet, looking at people's lives, at their clothes, at their houses, and wanting them so much, that whether it's things or people, that we hate ourselves and then we hate them.
Yeah.
And we're in this kind of cycle of self-loathing and disgust and desire that's very complicated, but it's also quite funny, because it's a world of our own devising, you know? So, but yes, this, like, there's nothing in the world more wonderful than getting to make something with people you really, really respect, who really believe in it, for people who really love it. And that's not to say that everyone will really love it. there'll be plenty of people who don't, and that's absolutely fine. But for the people who do love it, then it is all pleasure, and it's pleasure. You know, it's a kind of two-way thing. It's exciting to be able to make things that give people pleasure.
You've worked as an actress, a director, a writer of books. Do you feel like at any particular time you're just all of those things all at once, or do you feel like right now? Do you feel that you're more of a writer-director than an actor?
Definitely more writer-director than an actor.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I love acting, and it's but once you've worked with like Carey and Barry and those sorts of people, it's my own. Yeah, I think.
Did you sort of call in a lot of favors from a lot of friends to make the film?
No.
Not? Okay.
No, I didn't. I mean,
I was just thinking because of Carey, you know, and not.
Promising Young Woman, I didn't know her. In fact, I didn't know anyone who then came to work on that film.
Oh, interesting.
And Carey, for Poor Dear Pamela, she read the script. She was one of the first people to read the script, just as my friend. And she called and said, "Can I be Poor Dear Pamela?" And I said, "I mean, of course." But she's only in 3 scenes, you know. I wouldn't have ever asked her to do it, but she was like, "I have to." Daddy always said I'd end up at the bottom of the Thames.
I'm sure there are questions out here. We don't have a lot longer, but anyone want to jump in with a question? Oh. Okay, over here. I heard and I've got one.
So Farley, the character in it that was just probably the most awful to Oliver, he didn't kill.
Is there a question there? Is that a statement?
But was he the most? I mean, was he the most awful, or were they just playing the same game? And were they actually the best suited to one another, maybe? I don't know. I mean, I think there's a kind of respect there from Oliver that maybe doesn't, maybe, I don't know. I've always felt that they could run that house very well together.
Yeah. Yes.
What a wonderful film, and it's such a pleasure to see it through your eyes. And I was wondering how those intimacy scenes either confuse us or, I don't know, if you weaponize them. I just thought it was an interesting, as I said, very vulnerable, those intimacy scenes. Oh my gosh.
I'm not sure.
No, I think-
I wanted. Could everyone hear that?
No,
I don't think so.
Well,
yeah.
I think. No, I definitely understand. I think the question is kind of how does Oliver weaponize his sort of sexuality, really? And I think the kind of answer for me is always that what Oliver is an expert at is knowing what other people want and giving it to them, whether that's sexual or, you know, social, whatever it is. That's his gift, is he's a sort of mirror. Whether he has any idea of what he wants, really, I think is more elusive. And I don't know that, you know, at the end it is sort of a Pyrrhic victory. He's on his own. I don't think he wanted to be on his own. And there's always a moment with every character where you see, oh, it could have gone another way. If only she hadn't pulled away. If only he hadn't pushed him. If you know, there's that thing. But the sex scenes, the kind of intimate scenes, you know, me and Linus, the DP, talked a lot about this being like a vampire movie. But the thing about vampire movies, I hope, when they're, you know, effective, is who's, for want of a better phrase, who's sucking who. You know, I would say the Cattans are vampires, really, and that's why the power dynamic's always so interesting here, is every time you think Oliver's, you know, he's learnt Venetia's a masochist, and that she's not happy in her body, and so he, you know, and so he tells her that the period sex scene is about telling her that her body is beautiful and there's nothing to be ashamed of in it, and it's actually an act of kind of grace and kindness, and you know, with all those intimate scenes, none of them are, there's a lot of nudity in this movie, but none of them are during those scenes. You don't actually, in any of the sex scenes, I don't think you see kind of below the shoulders even. So it's kind of left to the imagination, all of that stuff. It's sort of, yeah.
I think we have to finish, is that right? Sorry, I just want to get my cue here, but okay, I'm going to take one last question, and I see one down here. Yeah.
It's like a two-part question. The first question was, did you know when you were writing, did you know you were going to direct?
So when
Yes.
we have to repeat the question. When you were writing, did you know you were going to direct this?
Yes, I did.
So were there other things that changed in the way that the final scene did, based on things that happened during the shooting? Is that about right? Yeah.
Yeah, or during the creation process.
Yeah, or in the creative
Yeah.
process, yeah.
Well, I think definitely once you've cast something, the cast just enrich it so much that you start to, Rosamund was the person who realised that, of course, Elspeth Catton had always secretly believed that Pulp's Common People had been written about her, little kind of things like that that are just so genius and brilliant. And in terms of bigger scenes, I'm trying to think. I mean, I try not to too much, just because it can be so destabilizing, especially when you've got lots of people. But certainly, there were lots of adjustments just about what we reveal when. And also we shot a lot of scenes with Oliver kind of overtly hating or overtly loving, or so in the edit there's that kind of rewrite, I suppose, as well in the edit at the end when you decide how much to reveal when. Which is sort of quite a nebulous non-answer. Sorry, not very specific. Sorry.
Like, did you know, where you were,
The house.
the house, yeah, how did you find, was that something that you knew, you were in your head, or did you, how did you?
We found the house, but it was after writing, and I just don't think we could have dreamed of anything like it. I mean, but we built the maze.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is amazing.
It was amazing.
Yes. So,
We made that joke every day, thousands of times, until we all wanted to murder each other.
that's why I didn't say it on mic. Emerald Fennell, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.